guys, ghouls, and gals, and welcome back to the archives. Today we'll be delving back into the realm of Dead by Daylight, looking into the life of the first killer ever introduced into the game. This is Evan McMillan, better known as the Trapper. The Trapper, as mentioned before, was the first killer ever in Dead by Daylight, and still acts as the face of Dead by Daylight. Trapper is one of the simplest characters in the game, with a low skill ceiling and a low bar of entry. His power is a simple one, as he places the set number of bear traps from around the map in strategic areas in order to catch and injure survivors. Survivors can disarm bear traps, as well as saving trapped survivors or trying to free themselves, although doing so takes longer and has a chance to fail. But who is the killer behind the mask? What brought Evan McMillan to the fog? Well, Evan McMillan was born to a wealthy estate, one ruled by his father with an iron fist. His father ran a series of coal mines set in the middle of the woods. The McMillan estate is the factory that residents of the fog may find themselves in, although a majority of the McMillan estate taken up by the entity is the woods surrounding it. Evan's father was the head of the estate, running the company with no mercy. Nothing mattered to his father more than loyalty, and loyal his son was, despite how his father treated him. Evan's father, or Archie as I will refer to him from now on, did not treat Evan well, beating him whenever his son did something he saw as weak, including becoming friends with the other maggots that worked for him. However, despite that, Evan loved his father, respected him even. He and his father would go out hunting bears in their spare time, his father telling stories of how he once killed a bear that had killed his brother. The story always seemed to change, to the point where Evan questioned the validity of the story. This, as well as the mysterious goings-on around Evan's father, made him question everything, exercising his instinct. The only way Evan ever rebelled against his father was by sketching, putting pen to paper as his mind raced with all of the true stories behind his father's lies. One of these lies was his uncle going missing. It was a mysterious circumstance with his uncle going missing without a trace, but Evan knew his father had something to do with it. His uncle was a philanthropist, weak, disloyal, and there was nothing Archie hated more than those who are disloyal. Another such lie was that of his mother's untimely demise. A simple morning swim in the woods turned into a tragedy as Evan's mother was taken away by the current. But Evan knew. He knew that wasn't how it happened. His mother wasn't one to swim in the river in the mornings, nor would she swim in that river, as she would have known it was too dangerous. No, this was Archie. Archie had drowned his mother, and Evan hated him for it. But he was becoming more and more like his father, despite his worst nightmares. After a man said cruel things about his mother, Evan lost his cool, almost killing the man with the 2x4 while his father watched and laughed. The worst part of it, Evan no longer hated the thought of becoming his father. It excited him. However, the worst was still to come. Evan's supposed friends had sold him out to Archie for some petty cash, leading him to the secret stash of drawings Evan hid from him. However, this time, Archie did not strike him. Instead, after tearing the rest of the drawings, he instead framed the drawing of his mother being drowned above his bed, still threatening worse to come. This tome animation depicts the events that followed, so I'll allow you all to see that for yourselves. Archie had beaten Evan's friends to death. There was nothing he hated more than a traitor, even if they had given him valuable information. Presumably, the cave-in was also part of Archie's plans, although Evan was not meant to be caught in it. He was still valuable to Archie. Very valuable. After all, Archie was growing older. Soon he wouldn't be able to fend for himself. That's where Evan came in. He kept the other predatory workers at bay, protecting Archie and the wealthy empire he had built for the two, carrying out his orders. One day, in Archie's mentally unstable state, he finally snapped, sending out Evan to kill off more and more workers. Over 100 workers died in the mines, as Evan led them inside before blowing the entrance, sealing them inside and killing them. Eventually, Evan and his father went missing before the authorities found Archie in the basement of the estate, dead. with no Evan anywhere in sight. No one truly knows where Evan went, nor where he was going. All we know is that he was eventually swooped up by the entity, and now serves as a killer in the fog. However, like a couple of the other killers, Evan was not a fan of his new life he was being forced into, as he attempted to rebel against the entity. Unfortunately, his rebellion was short-lived, and Evan was punished for his disloyalty just as he was before, as his body was embedded with multiple of the hooks he was being forced to hang survivors upon. Evan continues to suffer through the trials, carrying out the entity's dark wishes, because now, Evan has learned the lesson his father had always tried to instill in him. Nothing was more important than loyalty. That, unfortunately, is where Evan's story ends. Some of the older residents of the Fog, while not being anything too deep, is one that is important to understanding who the residents of the Fog are and how the entity ties into their stories. Evan's story is a sad one, as he had never had a chance at a normal life to begin with. His father ruled over his life as well as his workers' lives with an iron fist, turning Evan into the monster you'll find in the Fog. As loyalty was the only thing that Evan knew, he continued to follow his father's ruling until finally he snapped, killing his father in the basement of the estate before running away. And then, just as soon as Evan learned what freedom was like, it was snatched away from him once again. As we go through the different residents of the Fog, some of the newer residents should have longer videos dedicated to them, as behavior began to expand upon the stories behind their most famous game. But for now, this is where we will have to leave it. Thank you all for joining me in the archives. If you liked this video, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell icon to be notified whenever a new video comes out. I hope to see you all once again in the archives soon. Goodbye for now.